This video is the fourth
in a 5-part series of an illustrated retelling of the entire history of Ben 10, from the classic series all the way to Omniverse. The information will be presented chronologically, so you will see all flashback and time travel shenanigans play out in the order they would have happened in the natural progression of the universe. By the end, you should be well versed in the legacy that is the hero of heroes. I'd love to hear reactions from both longtime fans and new beginners of the show, and see if they can follow along.
Now, let's begin. On Osmos 5, home planet of the Osmosian race, a tyrant named Agrigor sets out to absorb the powers of 5 special alien species, which would give him the power to survive the treacherous journey to collect all 4 parts of the map of infinity. Agrigor captures the aliens and makes his way back to Osmos 5, where he will absorb their powers through a special machine. The alien prisoners revolt and crash land on Earth, each going their separate ways. Off the coast of the ocean, Vilgax washes up and is found by bystanders. Too weak from his previous battle, he cannot return to his normal form and can barely move. He is unable to resist being sold to a traveling carnival as a sideshow until he is discovered by a member of the Flamekeeper Circle, run by a man named Conduit Edwards. The Flamekeeper Circle is a religious charity organization at face value, but in secret, worship an ancient being known as the Dagon. They believe that humanity was jump-started by aliens, and that the Dagon would one day return to Earth for a second coming of enlightenment. And it just so happens that Vilgax bears a passing resemblance to him. Members of the Circle are known as the Esoterica, and as worshippers of the Dagon, have the ability to phase in and out of dimensions, and expel powerful demonic energy. Vilgax, accepting his false identity as the Dagon, is cared for and nursed back to health by the Circle. Life seems to have fallen into repetition for the trio, until Ben discovers that his secret identity was leaked online, bringing him a lot of unwanted attention in the media and his personal life. The trio track down the leak to a low-class childhood blogger named Jimmy Jones, who deduced Ben's secret himself. He tips them off about an alien stealing pieces of a nuclear bomb in Florida for them to investigate. Kevin unleashes their new ship, the Rust Bucket 3, and sets a course. They come across the first of the 5 Andromeda aliens that they agree to rescue and help return to their home worlds. In the end, Agrigor always had the upper hand and recaptured the aliens for himself, completing his mutation as Ultimate Agrigor. The following battle leaves Max with a damaged nervous system, stranding him on Galvin Mark II while he heals. Paradox claims that he was the one who hid all 4 pieces of the map of infinity, as a race between Ultimate Agrigor and the trio begins. Despite their efforts, Ultimate Agrigor proves to be very smart and very powerful, and builds the map of infinity, which grants him access to the Forge of Creation, where celestial sapiens, such as Alien X, are born. Paradox brings them to the Forge's entrance, where Ben accidentally entangles himself with a chrono-randomization barrier, pulling his 10-year-old self out of the timeline for a team-up of generations. The 2 Bens, Gwen and Kevin, battle Ultimate Agrigor on the palms of a giant celestial sapien mother. Agrigor plans to absorb its child and obtain omnipotence, as infinite celestial sapiens do not have the same drawbacks as their adult selves. Just as he is about to succeed, Kevin sacrifices his sanity and absorbs the powers of Ben's Ultimatrix, creating Ultimate Kevin, and defeats Agrigor by absorbing his powers too. The overwhelming power immediately drives Kevin mad, and the trio is temporarily broken. Paradox takes young Ben back to his own timeline, allowing him to recall these events as a dream, so Ben can faintly remember a future where they were once best friends. Kevin's involuntary betrayal drives a wedge between Ben and Gwen. Gwen continues to support the idea that Kevin has changed, and they should save him no matter what. Ben disagrees, saying Kevin is obviously too far gone, and they should kill him before anyone else gets harmed by him. Meanwhile, Ultimate Kevin hungers for power and attacks many of his old friends and enemies alike, including the Max Force and the Warden that killed his childhood friend who helped him escape. With the help of sometimes enemy Darkstar and Cooper Daniels, a Technopath, Ben and Gwen each take their own shot at dealing with Kevin. Gwen tries to get Kevin to see reason, which fails. Ben engages Kevin in battle, as both nearly die at different points. Darkstar and Cooper finalize a device that can cure Kevin, powered by the remains of the Dominus Librium, an ancient energy-conducting artifact believed to be of alien origin. With Kevin cured, the trio reunited, and Max finally healed from his injuries, all seems well in the world. This is until the Forever Knights, continuing their ancient tradition of finding and exploiting alien technology, come across an old seal bearing their symbol that they believe to be a weapons vault. They crack open the vault, but it is too strong to break open entirely, and lets loose a creature that starts wreaking havoc on Bellwood. This gains the attention of the trio, who work with the Knights to track down the creature. When found, the creature leeches onto Gwen, embedding itself into her mind, temporarily controlling her. The trio free her, leaving Gwen with new memories, revealing the creature to actually be a demon that feeds off of prayers called a Lucubra, a servant of a great being named the Dagon. What they broke was actually a seal that was keeping the beast away, and now he is slowly breaking free again. The broken seal also alerts an old man from the senior center known simply as George, who begins to make his way to the seal. Confirming it is broken, his quest to slay the Dagon begins once more. He goes to Area 51 and teleports the entire base onto the side of a mountain and uses it as a place to perform his operations. Meanwhile, the trio is confronted by Paradox and Ultimate Ben, another version of Ben's future. Ben realizes that every time he meets his future self, his future will change, but for now, this future comes with the power to access his transformations while in human form. They arrive to help put an end to Eon, an evil time walker who has been traveling across the multiverse, killing different Ben Tennysons, although they later find that this is not the case, as he is in fact recruiting them for his own personal reasons. The trio, Ultimate Ben and Paradox, defeat Eon by destroying their universe's version of the Hands of Armageddon, which is said to exist simultaneously in every possible universe. Ultimate Ben returns to the future after giving Ben's Ultimatrix new transformations, and Paradox warns Ben to beware a man named Old George. At this time, Old George hails a meeting at Area 51 with the leaders of each faction of the Forever Knights, who have all had their own run-ins with Ben over the years, and proclaims that the Knights must carry out their true order, exterminating all aliens on the planet. He upgrades the Knights with advanced armor and weaponry, with special vehicles to complement. The Purge, as it is officially titled, is kicked off with the death of Pierce Wheels, one of Max's students, prompting the trio to step in. Ben puts an end to the Purge, but later finds that the entire event was a distraction, as George's real quest was to re-obtain the Sword of Ascalon, which is currently still piercing the Dagon's heart in his invisible, teleporting fortress. George was able to calculate where the fortress would appear next, and using his notes, Gwen and the gang follow closely behind. At the fortress, George and the trio are both met by Vilgax, who were brought by the Flamekeeper Circle. Still thinking Vilgax is Dagon, they aim to reunite Dagon with his heart so he may regain his full power and save humanity. As a battle between the Esoterica and the Forever Knights ensues, Vilgax grabs hold of Ascalon and is rejuvenated back to his land form, now powered by the sword. He then hears the voice of the real Dagon, telling him he is aware of his shenanigans, but will actually grant him ultimate power if he becomes his servant, and go back to the seal and finish breaking it to set Dagon free. Vilgax agrees and heads towards the seal, with the trio and Old George chasing him. At the seal, Vilgax fails to fully break it, and is instead sucked into the cracks, leaving Ascalon behind. Old George reunites with Ascalon, and is restored to his youthful strength. Old George says the Dagon is his mission, and the trio agree to back off for now, and see if Old George can handle it on his own. A few weeks later, the trio investigate the Flamekeeper Circle's hideout, but find no one there. They find that they have rallied around the seal with an army of Esoterica to help free Dagon once and for all. The Forever Knights, led by Sir George, stand against the Esoterica, as hundreds upon hundreds of knights in Esoterica break into an all-out war. Conduit Edwards kills Sir George's squire, so Sir George kills Conduit Edwards, with Edwards still proclaiming his loyalty to the Great Dagon with his last dying breath. Ben soon finds and joins George in battle, where they are confronted by Vilgax, who has now been granted demonic power from Dagon to destroy the seal. They fight against Vilgax's new form, but appear evenly matched. As the seal cracks even more, Dagon's power is released onto Earth, turning every living being on the planet into Esoterica, aside from George and the trio, who were protected by Gwen. However, the seal still isn't fully broken. Unsatisfied with Vilgax as his servant, Dagon reconnects with Gwen through a bug he implanted in her during the Lucubra incident, and forces her to break the seal. Gwen succeeds, and Dagon frees himself into the universe. Dagon towers over them in a godlike prestige, and does battle with the trio and Sir George as the last defense against humanity. The Dagon turns George into dust, ultimately defeating him. As all hope seems lost, it is actually Vilgax, who was planning for this the whole time, who defeats Dagon by absorbing his power into himself, the same way he stole power from the other 10 worlds he conquered. Against a Dagon-powered Vilgax, Ben wields the Sword of Ascalon himself, and fulfills George's destiny by putting an end to Dagon's power, forever. Ben absorbs the Dagon's power into the sword, and armed with the Ultimatrix, Vilgax proclaims Ben as a god and urges him to use his power to reshape the universe any way he wishes. Tempted by nigh omnipotence, Ben refuses the power and returns the sword to Azimuth. Azimuth is impressed by Ben's growth since becoming more arrogant after the hybrid invasion, and deems Ben worthy of the new, completed Omnitrix.
Hello everyone, Kura the Artist here. I am incredibly pleased with how positively everyone is reacting to this series. Part 5 will be released on this December 27th on Ben 10's anniversary. This video will include all 5 parts together, but to make it worth watching the whole way through, I'm going to go back to correct some mistakes I made in previous parts, and add in more art assets and animations to make it more visually entertaining. To celebrate, I will be doing a special live stream after Part 5's premiere over on our second channel, The Rust Bucket, where I will be answering questions you have had about this series in more detail. There will also be a contest and new merch in our store. You can also download every single thing drawn in these videos as a Tier 3 Patreon reward when Part 5 drops. That's about everything for now. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep it fizzy.